Hi everybody, it's Jill Fraser here, and I'd like to discuss with you my process in teaching a new student. So one of the things that I've discovered is that when I teach, I have a tendency, or I need to find out more about the student when they come to me. You see, I don't know what the student wants to do, and it's important for me to understand several things. And number one is why. Why are they taking on the lesson? Why is it important to them? Is it for family reasons? Is it for work reasons? Is it for personal reasons? Is it their spouse? Is it their brother? Is it their sister? Is it their friends? Why are they taking a lesson? And then the second thing I need to know is, what is their experience in the game? Have they taken lessons before? Have they played the game before? Have they watched the game? Have they never actually ever seen the game before? Those things are really, really important when it comes to addressing the students' wants and reasons. I need to know their why, and I need to know their level of play in order to devise in my mind what I can do for them as far as teaching. So those are the questions I ask. Now, for this lesson and for the purpose of this, I'm going to assume that the golfer I have is a novice golfer, and that they're playing in a business tournament in a couple of weeks, and they've never played before, but they have a slight understanding of what the game is, but they really don't want to embarrass themselves. Remember, it's business, and they feel very important that they don't want to be an embarrassment. So now I have to go, okay, new golfer, primary goal is to actually not only just hit the ball, but hit the ball relatively reasonably well. He may or may not have to understand how to play the game, but he does need to make contact and hit the ball within reason, a decent distance. Not miss and not lose a lot of balls. So then the second thing I do is try to find out what kind of physical shape they're in. So I need to know if they have any injuries. I need to know if their back is okay, if their wrists are okay, if their shoulders are okay. I need to understand, because then if they do have a physical problem, then I need to be able to tweak what I do for them so that the physical problem doesn't hold them back. And then I'll ask them what kind of sports they play, because if they've never really played the game and never taken a golf lesson, if I can relate to a sport that they've played, then they may understand my terminology a little bit better. Baseball, soccer, tennis. Doesn't really matter what they've done, but if they have done something and they're not a person who's never really done anything, then I can relate weight shift to one of those activities, or I can relate balance to one of those activities. So there's a lot of reasons why I ask them what kind of sport they play. All this information allows me in my mind to develop a game plan, a point of attack, their purpose, their experience, and their activity level. Now, remember, I'm doing this on the fly because I've never met this person before, and I need very quickly to get them some sort of result so that they'll come back and improve again and be reasonable on the golf course when they actually have their tournament. So the first thing that we do is I need to determine whether they're left-handed or right-handed. I tend to talk about target side versus left and right, because then there's no confusion. But if a person is right-handed and I'm right-handed, then it's relatively easy. But as I say, I like to use target more than left and right. We start with the grip. I need to know grip hand size. Are they strong? Are they weak? Do they have large hands, small hands? There's the interlock grip, there's the overlap grip, and the two-handed grip. Two-handed grip for people weak and very small hands. Interlock grip with people with short fingers. Overlap grip for people with long fingers. Basically, hands are opposed when they're on the golf club, which basically means the hands are palm to palm. The target side, target hand is at the top. The back hand, the lower hand is on the bottom of the grip. So once we've gone over the grip, then I go into the starting routine. The starting routine is very, very important for people to understand where they want the ball relative to their body, and how, not only from the width of stance, the ball placement, and also the distance from the ball. The chart there shows that the stance on the target side relatively stays the same. The ball position stays the same. It's the back foot that moves depending on the club. The longer the club, the wider the stance. The shorter the club, the narrower the stance. Kind of makes sense. And you'll also see on the left-hand side of this that the distance from the ball, the hands stay relatively the same relative to the body. You don't stretch out further. The club actually goes further. The club does it. You don't have to do it. Now, one of the first things I do is, as I mentioned, is to get into a starting routine. So, we take the grip, we start with the feet together, then we move the target foot that 1 or 2 inches to the target with the ball in the middle of the stance, and then we move the back foot, depending on the club, whatever width we want to go. And I'll do that with several different clubs in the person's bag. I'll do it with the pitching wedge, I'll do it with the driver, I'll do it with the 3-iron, just to get them used to the starting routine, because this is something they need to do every time they hit a golf ball. And then we go into the impact drill, and the impact drill is designed simply to make contact with the ball. What does that feel like? So the impact drill is that one drill that you can take to the golf course, because it's kind of very similar to a chip, which you do when you're near the green, so they can take it to the golf course. And basically, again, you go into the starting routine, but you're using a pitching wedge or a 9-iron, and you start with a very narrow stance. You take the club back a certain distance, and then you take the club through a certain distance. And that distance is going to be relatively the same, but your focus on making contact with the ball, back and through, back and through. So it's back, impact, target, back, impact, target. And we repeat that probably as long as I feel that the person needs to get comfortable with that. And once that's done, we go into the half swing drill. And the half swing drill incorporates not only impact, but it incorporates weight shift. So the first thing I do is go over what weight shift is all about. And it's fairly simple: hands on the hips, weights on the back foot, and you turn or take a step, an imaginary physical step, so the weight finishes on the target side and the hips are pointing to the target. And we'll do that several times until the person looks like they're comfortable. Then we'll add the golf club. And what we'll do is, again, you go into the starting routine, feet together, take your grip, target foot moves, back foot moves. And then you'll bring the club back so it's hip high, so the toe of the club is pointing up. You go down, you'll hit impact, and then you go through, so again, the club is roughly hip high, waist high, and the toe of the club is pointing up. So basically you're going back to the waist, through to the waist, all the time working on weight, going from the back foot to the target foot, back foot to the target foot. So the impact drill, there was no weight shift, and the half swing drill, we now add weight shift. And we're halfway there to taking a full swing. But this is probably as far as I go with the first lesson, because this is your foundation. These are your building blocks to being consistent when you're hitting the golf ball. So now we have the lesson. We've gone over the grip, we've gone over the starting routine, and we've gone over the impact drill and the half swing drill. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching.